When Taehyung stepped off the plane, tired and shivering from the cold, Jungkook didn't hesitate for a second. He carried him in his arms as if the whole world had disappeared. And in just those first seconds, he made it clear who his priority is. Let's remember that moment that marked many Taehyungers. They were both exhausted, cold after a long flight. But just as Taehyung stepped off the plane, without thinking, Jungkook went to him. He didn't care about his own tiredness or the weather. What he did was carry Taehyung with care and tenderness, carrying him to the car as if he were the greatest treasure he had. That act, which many may see as something small, was a huge testament to the kind of love that exists between them. Because Jungkook didn't do it to show something in front of the cameras or for show. He did it because for him, Taehyung's well-being comes before anything else. It was a sincere, honest, and meaningful moment. And although many people want to deny what they see, he makes it increasingly clear. Taehyung is his priority. Furthermore, if we look at Taehyung's reaction, we can see how that gesture made him feel cared for and loved. Instead of refusing or backing down, Taehyung let himself go, leaning his body against Jungkook's, trusting him completely. That trust between them is something you don't see every day. And it's not just in that moment. If we review many other moments, Jungkook is always looking out for Taehyung. If he needs support, he's there. If he's sad, he comforts him. If there's anything he can do for him, he does it without a second thought. This kind of relationship, where one puts the other first, even when tired or going through a bad time, is rare. It requires a deep and real connection. That's why Taehyungers value these moments so much. Because they're not just nice gestures. These are sincere acts that confirm time and again that what exists between Jungkook and Taehyung is true love. In the middle of a concert, while Taehyung was taking a selfie, Jungkook leaned closer and kissed his image on the screen. A small gesture, but with a message too big to ignore. During one of their most exciting concerts, with thousands of eyes on them, Jungkook did something that surprised everyone. Taehyung was recording a moment, capturing his face on his phone's camera, when suddenly Jungkook leaned closer, looked at the screen, and kissed him right on the screen. It wasn't accidental or forced. It was an action full of intention, one that spoke volumes without the need for words. That kiss wasn't just any kiss. It was a message. Because Jungkook has always been careful with every gesture he makes with Taehyung in front of the audience. But this time he didn't hold back. He kissed his face, even on the screen, as if he were finally letting out something he'd been holding back for a long time. And he did it at a moment when they knew all the fans were watching. The most important thing about that moment wasn't just the kiss. It was the natural way he did it. There were no nerves, no hesitations. He just walked toward the phone and showed deep affection, the kind of affection that isn't hidden. And it was a kind of affection that doesn't exist between people who only share the stage. It was something that showed how much Taehyung means to him. That gesture made clear something Taehyung fans have felt for years. The connection between them is strong, constant, and not based on appearances. Jungkook has long contained his impulses to protect and care for Taehyung, but this moment was proof that what he feels is real and that he doesn't always want to hide it. The kiss in Taehyung's picture was his way of saying, "I'm here, I choose you," even in front of everyone. Although many people want to minimize these kinds of moments, take them out of context, or make them seem like a simple game, the truth is that there are details that are impossible to ignore. Because if such a subtle gesture can make such an impact, it's because something profound sustains it. The way Jungkook looks at Taehyung, the way he approaches him, how he is always aware of his condition, everything goes in the same direction. Do you also remember that moment when Tae completely exposed Jungkook, and Jungkook seemed very shy and panicked? Such a small moment, but full of signs that can't be ignored. At a gathering where all the boys were together, a moment occurred that went unnoticed by many, but not by those who know the connection between Taehyung and Jungkook. Jungkook was sitting right next to Taehyung, and in a calm voice, he asked if he could take that, without explaining exactly what he meant. Then, without waiting for a response, his hand came up behind him and began to gently touch Taehyung. That touch wasn't casual or confusing. It was an action that made clear his desire to be close to him, even without having to say it in words. Taehyung noticed it right away. His response wasn't one of rejection or surprise, but a direct question. "Why are you touching me?" But he didn't say it out of anger, but rather as if he already understood what Jungkook meant without having to explain it. It was a way of saying, "I know why you're doing this," and instead of walking away, he responded with an even more direct gesture. He raised his hand and touched Jungkook's chin, looking at him calmly, as if accepting what had just happened. Taehyung's response was like saying yes, he could take him, as if he were giving him permission to fulfill that hidden wish that Jungkook hadn't spoken out loud. Between them, there was no need to say more. They had already understood each other with just 2 actions. This way of communicating without using many words is something they have demonstrated on different occasions, as if between them there existed a language that only they knew. The scene continued when Jungkook, without saying anything else, touched Taehyung's backside again. It was a repeated gesture, not seeking attention or approval from others. It was simply a way of staying connected. Some time later, Taehyung did exactly the same thing with Jungkook, touching him in the same place, mirroring the gesture. And that wasn't a coincidence. It was a way of reciprocating, of returning the same kind of contact, as if the 2 of them were responding to each other with gestures only they could understand. Over the years, Jungkook and Taehyung have formed a bond that goes far beyond a simple friendship or a connection between teammates. Their relationship is so strong that even without saying a word, they understand each other. It's not just about glances or sharing stages. It's about being there for each other in every moment, growing together, and creating a story full of respect, affection, and mutual support. Often, people are misled by rumors or what they think they see from the outside. But when you look closely, you realize there's something much deeper going on. Taehyung and Jungkook protect each other. When one is weak, the other becomes their strength. It's no coincidence that in difficult situations, they always look out for each other. That kind of relationship is born from a love cultivated little by little over time, and that's what Taehyung and Taehyung have valued from the beginning. Their bond doesn't need to be shouted out to the world to exist. It manifests itself in the way they speak to each other, in how they care for each other without the need for grand gestures. When they're together, there's a peace between them that speaks volumes. No one can fake that for so many years. They've gone through many stages, grown from a young age, and faced tough times, but their connection remains intact. Not everyone can achieve that. And even with criticism or malicious comments, they're still themselves. They haven't stopped being close. They haven't changed their way of being together. On the contrary, you can see how they've strengthened their bond. It's as if with each new year, their relationship grows stronger. You can see the care he has for Taehyung in Jungkook's eyes, and the way Taehyung responds to him shows the love that's returned. For many Taehyung fans, every detail counts. You don't need a grand declaration to see the real thing. The real thing is in the small things, in the way Jungkook straightens Taehyung's coat, in how Taehyung smiles when he sees him arrive, in how they look at each other when they think no one is watching. These kinds of things build a story that doesn't need labels, but does deserve respect. And that's precisely what some people don't understand. They cling to denying the obvious, trying to discredit a relationship that has proven more real than many others. But the truth always finds a way to come out, and Jungkook and Taehyung's love is a truth that can't be hidden. They've shared unique moments, faced fame and pressure together, and yet they remain hand in hand. There are people who, despite all the gestures and signs between Taehyung and Jungkook, continue to deny reality. They say it's not love, that it's just fan service, that they're just acting. But what they can't deny is that each of their gestures is full of meaning, especially for those who have followed their story closely. There's no need to force anything when feelings are so visible. From the beginning, Taehyung and Jungkook have shared more than just songs or choreography. They've built a history that endures over time. What began as a natural bond has grown into something much stronger, something that can be seen in every look, in every word, and in the silences as well. The way they understand each other without speaking shows that their relationship has a very solid foundation. This kind of connection isn't easily achieved. Over the years, they've gone through moments of great pressure, having to reveal themselves in front of millions of people without losing who they really are. Yet, in all that time, they've managed to maintain their union. Every time someone tries to discredit what exists between them, the facts refute it. And not because they say something, but because of how they act. Taekookers have witnessed sincere, real, and repetitive moments. It's not just a kiss on a screen. It's the way Jungkook hugs Taehyung when he thinks no one is watching, how they look at each other when one is tired, or how they seek each other out when something isn't right. It's those small acts that form a history that can't be erased. And even with the criticism, they don't change. Their way of being together remains strong. They don't hide, they don't distance themselves, they don't act like nothing's happening. On the contrary, with each appearance, they seem closer. On stage, on trips, on tour, they're always close. Not out of obligation, but because they want to be. That can't be faked. That's the kind of bond that withstands anything. Many may talk, invent, or confuse, but there's one thing that can't be broken with words, the truth that lies in every glance between them. If so many people have believed in Taekook for so long, it's for a reason. It's not about creating fake stories. It's about recognizing what's right in front of everyone. The respect, affection, and passion they have for each other have been there from the beginning. Many have tried to deny or ignore what Taehyung and Jungkook have shown in front of the cameras. But there are things that can't be hidden, especially when the gestures and responses between them happen again and again without rehearsal or scripts. This moment when one touches the other and receives an identical physical response says more than any public statement. The way they look at each other, understand each other, and seek each other out shows that it's not something temporary or staged. Their communication doesn't depend on grand phrases or exaggerations. A hand on a shoulder, a glance that lasts longer than usual, or a smile that only appears when they're together is enough. These are actions that feel natural, as if they were part of their everyday life. That comfort they show in touching each other without fear is something you don't see with just anyone. What happened in that moment in front of the other boys wasn't meant to attract attention. In fact, it happened silently, as if it were something intimate in the middle of a crowded room. Jungkook didn't try to hide his actions, and Taehyung didn't want to stop them. On the contrary, he responded with a gesture that had the same meaning. It wasn't about provoking reactions or seeking approval. It was a pure reflection of how they feel about each other. For Taehyung fans, this type of behavior adds to a long list of evidence. They've seen this relationship grow over the years, without the need for official confirmation, because the actions speak for themselves. They've witnessed unexpected hugs, deep glances, games between them that end in moments filled with real affection. And all these details form a story that continues to be written in front of millions. Those who try to minimize these displays of affection often say they're normal or that they mean nothing. But when someone repeats the same gestures with the same person at different times and in different contexts, it's no longer a coincidence. It's a pattern, a reflection of something bigger. A relationship where both understand each other without speaking, where they seek each other and choose each other again and again. Taehyung's gesture of touching Jungkook's chin wasn't accidental. It was a silent confirmation. It was like saying, "I feel it too." And when Jungkook touched Taehyung's backside again, and then Taehyung did the same to him, it was a wordless conversation. A response that made it clear they were both on the same page.